That's... Thank you. No, really, that's super embarrassing, and now I'm going to start this talk with a red face. I do want to talk about leadership. I do. I'm very excited to talk to this group of people tonight, because this is a room full of people who have put a lot of effort in to doing something very special, and I think we sometimes lose sight of how cool what we're doing is, right? This is a room full of people who dedicated time to study and effort and learning and sharing into skills and technology that actually influence the daily lives of a lot of people. And we get so caught up sometimes, I think, just in this bubble of us, that we lose, and we're interested in new techniques and new skills and new research, that we sometimes forget about that end. And how cool it is to just take a moment and realize that the reason we are all here is because we want to, at the end of this whole thing, help more people. So I'm really excited about that and to be able to talk to all of you tonight about leadership. I think it's fair to say that our profession is in an interesting spot right now. We're in sort of a transition stage when it comes to leadership. And I think it should be addressed tonight. It's been an unusual period of time lately. It's sad to say in the last year, we lost Michael Elner. And even worse, we kept Richard Clark, which was a twofer. No, but we did. My good friend Michael passed away, and I think it is reasonable to reflect on that. And the year before, we lost Jerry Kine, right? And those are giants. Those are two men who transformed many of the careers in this room, myself included. And I know for me that I believe that if I can do a fraction of what either of them were able to accomplish in their careers, I will feel very successful. And I think a lot of us feel the same way. And so I want to talk about what their absence does to what we can do together. Because in the vacuum of that leadership, there is a transition that must happen. There are changes that must occur. And I think we should do that collectively, mindfully, and thoughtfully with intention and with goals. And that means that this transition can be something that can be beneficial, as unfortunate as the impetus of it might be. So I want to talk about the leadership, because those guys were amazing leaders, and this room is filled with leaders, and very few of us get to be on a list with those guys, but we are leaders. And you are a leader, a thought leader in this room, or you are a leader back in your community, or you are a leader of your clients as you lead them through changes in their lives. You are all leaders in this room. And so I want to talk about what we all can do as leaders to be more effective in that space. And so I also want to talk about what leadership isn't, because I think people are wrong about that. And I want to start with, leadership is not popularity. All right? And I get it. I do. We all want to be liked, and we all want to feel important. And that kind of leadership, or what we might call leadership, that's good for business, right? That we want to sell more books or more classes or more tickets to next year's conference. We want to sell stuff. And so it's easy to get caught up in that being what we define leadership as and how we measure it. And that is not a good metric. We owe it to ourselves to recognize that. And we need to call things by their right names. That's marketing. And that's ego. And that's not a bad thing, and sales are not a bad thing. And I want to talk about how leadership gets there, to those sales and to your bottom line. But we don't want to catch ourselves, right? Where all of a sudden we realize we're saying, oh, I'm important because I had this many people in my class, right? Or I sold this many books this week, therefore I'm more important than the person who sold fewer books. I'm a better leader because more people bought my program. That's not leadership. It's not. But those sales come. I'm not saying you have to forego those, right? When you are a leader, when you do things right, when you can be disruptive without being disrespectful, you still get that. And I want to talk about how that happens. And I think one of the things we all have seen in our industry, people in this room, myself included, and people outside this room, will sometimes take credit for work that isn't theirs, right? And I've done this. I'm guilty of this early in my career. And some of you have heard this story when I was about 2 years in. You know this anchor, right? I thought I invented this for like 3 months, okay? I really did. Like, it's just, and that's the thing, is it's not malicious, right? It's just ignorance. And I was going around for weeks, like really proud of how this was catching on, right? And I was like, all these people are really seeing what I'm up to, and I'm making waves, right? And we do that, right? It's not malicious, but sometimes it is. And it's rationalized with, or it's just kind of forgotten. And I want us all to be better at citing our sources. Okay? I want us to all endeavor to be able to show our work. And I want to talk right now about a couple people who are doing that right. Because that's part of what we do is we model excellence. And some of the awesome leaders at this conference are already doing that. And I want to impress upon you that you can show your work. You can be respectful of the shoulders of the giants that we stand on and still be a successful presenter, still be a successful thought leader, still be the person that you're wanting to be. And this is not an exhaustive list, but I just want to point out a couple people in this room who are doing things in their own way awesomely, okay? And, there's simple examples, like Melissa Tiers or the Carsons, right? You guys are obviously very influenced by John Overdurf, right? And you say so, right? You own that. Everyone who goes to a class by those people know that they're looking at some of John's work because they say so, right? And no one goes, I'm going to just skip Melissa's class. It's just some stuff that John Overdorf said once. Like that, no one says that, right? Because they know, I don't even know where you are. That's fine. She's putting her own spin on things, right? She's taking her own insights and resources and developing on it, and that's great. And Sean Michael Andrews does this really well too. Only he's not doing it with one person, he does it with a few, right? He says, well, this comes from Jerry Kine, or this comes from Dave Ellman, or this comes from Orman McGill. And his students are given access to a ton of new resources. And so people love going to his class because they get more than just him, they get all those other people. And people don't ditch his class. We're like, well, he's just going to give us a whole bunch of stuff he worked really hard to research on, right? He pulls all that out. And I think that's awesome. I really do. David Schneider and I came up in this profession together. I don't know where you are, David. But like 17, 18 years ago, David Schneider, Richard Rumble, Richard Clark, and I all met on the same day. And it was effectively what is called, like now it would be called a meetup group, but they didn't have meetup groups. It was just us. And there was a bunch of people, and we would all do stuff. But David and I really got into the innovation and experimentation thing, right? And we really did. And it got to the point where we were meeting every single week for years. And we would come up with a theme for the month. And we would just every week experiment and share. And we were just ripping off like anything we had just read or video we'd watch, right? So we'd like just grab a bunch of Bandler stuff and just, and play with it and then like add a language pattern or do whatever it was, right? And we would steal like a bunch of Mark Cunningham stuff, who's a presenter at this conference this year, which is really fun to see that, we were just ripping his stuff off and now he gets to be here. But we would show our work, we would tell people where we got it, and we would be up till, honestly, like we'd be in parking lots till like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, right? Because we were at a coffee shop and it closed like a while ago. And we were just so interested in talking, we were so interested, and it would be cold. And we would just be so excited talking about this stuff. And I know people in this room are doing the same kinds of things online and in person, and that's great. And David has full rooms here. And when you go to a class by David, he might say it out loud, he might not. But I'm sure that if you ask him, hey, where'd you get that? What he would not say is, I made it all up by myself, right? He knows exactly where he's got the stuff coming from. He says, well, I got this from Bandler, and this piece we got from Cialdini, and then we did some Ericksonian language patterning here, and then just my own experiences. I noticed when I play with this, I do it this way. And that's awesome. And I'm only going to do one more, and then I'll move on. I know, I'm sorry. And I could do this all night. I could go around the room and just talk about awesome people in this room. I really, really could. I'm only going to do one more. And it's Mike Mandel who's in here somewhere, right? I'm not sure why you're the one they clapped for. So when I first became aware of you guys, I said, okay, a bunch of Canadians are getting good at hypnosis. We should probably keep an eye on this. And so I did. And here's what I saw. And I said this to you the first time we met. I said, you are doing something so special in the way you're generating a community. Because that's what you have. I mean, you guys have this awesome community and shirts, and a lot of other trainers, a lot of other instructors will want to create an echo chamber. And they want to be the grand poobah and stay on top, and they don't want to bring in other voices. And you see that a lot in Facebook groups right now. And what you've done is the opposite of that, because you've intentionally brought outsiders, and it's not just an upwelling from inside, not just this thing where, it's only people who trained with you that you bring up in your organization because that reflects well on you. You don't do that, right? You intentionally make sure all of your students and all the members of that community are getting exposed to a bunch of outsiders that you respect, right? And you curate that, and that is really cool, and that is something that we all need to pay attention to, and a lot more of us need to be modeling. When you talk about modeling excellence, look at how effectively that's working. The old way of creating echo chambers isn't doing it anymore. We're seeing that as it. And we're seeing that with the people I named and a bunch of others in this room, and that's really, really cool. And one of the things that I'm working on that you guys have maybe seen the booth for is this scriptnosis thing. And Jason Lynette and Titan Lenaro and I have been working on it. And the reason I like it is because it's going to help us get really good at citing our sources, right? Being able to show our work, to see where stuff comes from, right? And I want us to be able to do that and to get really good at it. So it's this amazing software. It's this great platform that's designed around scaling talent. So that if we want to get good at, say, like helping kids, where I just saw her, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can go to Kelly, right? We can grab Kelly Wood's stuff, and we can say, Kelly, we want to incorporate your stuff into this platform. And then we get to input her books, her transcripts, her scripts, her interviews, all these lectures. We get to take her insights and her volume of work and ingest it into a system. And then on the back end, we do a bunch of computer nerd stuff with labeling and organizing and tagging of things. And we do all that. And now all of a sudden, everyone gets to use what Kelly thinks, right? And that means that her ability to help children just scaled. Right? And scaling her ability to help kids sounds pretty good. And, oh, by the way, her name's on it. It's labeled, which means in 5 years, when someone tries to steal her work and they say, I invented this, anybody who's been using that platform knows that's not true. So it's really cool that the software that's going to help hypnotists at any stage of their career also helps us as a profession getting better at something that we've gotten away from that I think is going to be awesome. When we can speak in shorthand to each other like, oh, I see you used this. Oh, I see you used that. Oh, that's fun. Which brings me to another thing that I want to talk about. This isn't just for the famous people. Okay? I know I just named famous people. I know I just named important people. But like I said, you guys are leaders. Every single person in this room is a leader. And so what we can do is get better at listening. Right? Leadership is not just about doing the talking like I am right now, hypocritically, while I say this sentence. It's about listening, right? And think about how many of our classes are about talking, right? We're supposed to be expert communicators. Think of what percentage of our books, our card decks, our classes, our videos, all these things are about how to say things better. So much of our efforts are about the output. And I think there's a huge ROI in doing a better job of input, of recognizing with compassion what's being said to us, to do a better job receiving data, that makes us better communicators. And so as we work on that, I think there's a huge ROI, way better than optimizing language patterns, way better than what verb tense you're using, or putting a sentence or a question at the end of the sentence so that you can control the conversation flow. Effective listening gets you more than that, right? And so that means that we all want to get better at listening, especially when someone's giving us feedback that we don't want to hear. All right? On HypnoThoughts, one of the jobs I've had is to enforce rules. And what I've noticed is people love rules when they're being applied to someone else. Right? And as soon as the rules apply to you, it's time for exceptions. Right? We need to get really good at listening. We need to get really good at hearing other people. Okay, so what does that have to do with the fun conference? Right? What does that have to do with what we're doing here? Right? Why, if I think all of this is important and I'm this guy that's passionate about this, why don't we have a super serious conference with the tone I'm using right now? Why do we have pajama parties and pool parties that are sometimes hosted thoughtfully? Why do we have a bowling tournament coming up in an hour? Why do we have costume parties? Why do we have flash mobs a couple times? Why do we do all this funny stuff? All right? I'll tell you why. I'm trying to effectively manipulate this profession. And that is the absolute truth. Okay? And I'm not the only one doing that. I'm just doing it in a slightly different way. We have a plan here. So here's the thing. There's a bunch of people who want to influence the profession with positive intent. And, we're opt-in, right? There's no laws, there's no rules, there are very few effective regulations on the profession of hypnosis. And reasonable people can disagree on if that's a good or a bad thing. That's fine. But that means influencing behavior becomes trickier. And so what we've done is we've created a culture that uses accolades and awards to try to encourage, right? Now, I play in this game, right? I know this game really well, and it's not a bad thing. It works, right? They'll say, an organization will say, if you play by the rules, you do things right, we're going to give you a certificate, we're going to give you a trophy, we're going to give you some fucking furniture, and that means you get to put that on your website. And when you put that on your website, that's going to make you more respected. And that means you're going to get more clients, or you're going to get more students. That's going to make you more money. Right? Now, I play that game. I've got a lot of awards, okay? I look awesome on paper, okay? And it has absolutely helped my career. And I've given awards, okay? And I have received awards from people I deeply respect. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just part of the strategy, and it's not enough. And the reason for that is because Dan Candel is apparently going to win all the awards this year anyway. And we can't give everybody a chair. Right? We can't give everybody a plaque. And we need to come up with a strategy that helps all of us, not just 7 a year, right? Not just who's in the rotation because it's politically a good idea. Not just the chosen 12. We need to get all of us. And here's why fun matters. I think we can do a better job transforming and encouraging this profession through community, through friendship. I really do. Because I don't know how to communicate with somebody when they're just a reputation, right? When somebody's just an author of 6 books, I don't know how to talk to them, right? I don't understand how we have an award called Hypnotist of the Year. I don't understand it. I don't. Because I understand Author of the Year because people can read your book. I understand Educator of the Year because people can go to your class. But Hypnotist of the Year, who's in your office, right? And so we have these, this is the Hypnotist of the Year. How am I going to call them out when I disagree with what they're doing? Well, because I know them, okay? I know them. We come here, and we hang out, we have too much to drink at an alligator bar. But that means that we've earned the right. So if Karen Hand disagrees with something I'm doing in the world, she can pick up the phone. And I know her intentions, I know her heart, I know her thoughtfulness and her professionalism, right? I don't know if I would have liked Michael Ellner as much if I'd only seen him online. He sometimes came across as almost a bully, right? And some people didn't like it. But if you met him in person, that wasn't true, because you saw the intent. You saw the love that came with that, right? And anybody who met Michael in person interacted with him differently online because of it. And that inspires this, the silliness, the fun, that gets us to a place where we can really, really talk to each other. We can really own it. And I want you guys to do that. And you know that sentence, the real learning happens in the halls, right? I know that sentence. I say that sentence, and I believe it. I think it's true, and it's more than just that. This is the largest hypnosis conference in America, in the world, right? This is it. And this is the most versatile conference. We have the largest variety, right? We have more talks on just about any topic than just about any conference. We have people from all over the world sharing awesomely, and it's really great, and that's only the beginning of what we need to be doing here. The classroom is great, but it's not just the learning that happens, it's the connection, it's the friendship, it's the becoming like true peers, right? Not just coworkers. It's about finding these people who love the same things you love. And as we do that, we earn the right to help each other help this. I really believe it when I say we have enough leaders in this room. We have a tipping point here now. This is enough leaders to transform our profession. This is enough leaders to change the way we talk to each other. This is enough leaders to change the way we listen to each other. And I believe that we have no choice but to have a transformation in our profession based on the changes that are happening around us. And I think if we're talking to each other and we're listening to each other, it can be good. It's going to take time. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take more effort and a whole lot more fun. But it could happen. It really could. And I don't think being a leader means we all have to go our separate ways and be our own cowboys, right? Leadership is not the opposite of following. It is not the absence of following. Teamwork is part of this. So, how can this apply to you tonight? How can this apply to you this weekend? It's really simple. Invite people to sit at your table, okay? Let's make this real simple. You want to be a leader? Invite people to sit at your table. I don't even care if this is your first year and you've taken one intro class. Invite people to sit at your table. Don't just sit with people you know, and don't just be open when they sit down. Invite them. Okay? Because Alan Barsky and Michael Ellner invited me to their table 18 years ago. It changed my career. We were at breakfast in Michigan. And I mean it. I don't know if I would be on this stage right now if they hadn't invited me. It changed my career. I remember the first time Marks Howell sat in one of my classes. It was terrifying. That man is a godfather in this room. You talk about a guy who exudes professionalism and class and humility and preparation and thoughtfulness. And the dude sat down to listen to me, and he took notes. And when we were done, he approached me and he said nice things. That was really cool, right? Shelley Stockwell came to my Intro to Hypnosis class a couple years ago, okay? Shelley Stockwell came and sat down to listen to me talk about, like the element induction, which I invented. You know this. You know this. Stop ripping off my shit. None of those people None of those people did that thing for them. None of those people thought I could add value to what they were already doing. All of those people had better things to do. But they're leaders. All the people I've named on this stage tonight are leaders, and they're doing it in ways that are really awesome. Okay? The people who are selfish, the people who are thinking about themselves, the people who are gonna get mine, those people are flash in the pans in this industry. You want to talk about transforming this profession, look at those leaders. All of them are modeling exactly what we need to do. And if we get good at that, I really mean it, we can't help it. We're going to transform the profession. That's really fun, right? That's what we get to do. So we get to do it with a bowling tournament. We get to do it in pajamas. We get to do it in a way that makes this conference not a once-a-year thing. It means it's not just on HypnoThoughts.com. It's not just on Facebook. It's on phone calls saying, hey, I know you see clients like this, and one of them just walked in my office. Do you have any thoughts? It's supporting each other when we have tough times, which we all do at some point in our life. It's about community and really actually digging into the work. It's about 11 a.m. outside on a curb. It's about 3 in the morning today at the alligator bar for a few of us, myself included. It's about that. That's why we got into this. Bring it back to the beginning. We're leaders who want to change the daily lives of the people who ask for our help, in sometimes very significant and sometimes very boring ways. But that's what we've got. We can't forget how special that is, right? And we can't take ourselves too seriously because, by the way, there are 1,000 other people who can do it too here, right? We can take the ego out. We need to lead not with ego. We need to lead with relationship. I want to thank all of you for being here and supporting this event and creating the relationships that are bringing everybody back and just drawing new people every year because you guys create an environment that makes everybody want to come. I want to thank all of you. I really mean it on a very personal level. Making something like this happen takes a whole lot of people. Right? And I know I'm the face of this, right? We joke that I'm the Michelle Obama of HypnoThoughts because everyone, no real authority to do anything, but everyone's thrilled when they show up and you want to shake her hand. That's me, right? There's a ton of people doing a lot harder work than I do here. I thank them and thank you guys because without all of that support, this thing doesn't happen. Have a great, great weekend. Keep learning, keep playing, keep having fun, make fun of each other, make fun of yourself, make new friends, and please make it a point to come find me. If you have ideas on how we can make this conference better, don't keep it a secret. Let us know what we have to do to keep this amazing momentum going and keep helping you guys draw in all the new faces that we keep seeing every year. Thank you guys very much and have a great night.
Mr. Scott Sandland.
Thank you.